From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Hello everyone, I'm Meteorologist Mike Krueger. Thank you so much for joining us here for your morning update. Boy, we got a lot to unpack here. So before we get into all of the deeper dive forecast, here's what we can expect. Here's what we're going to be talking about here during your forecast. Number one, I want you to be prepared for the fact that it's going to be a wet weather pattern starting today. It's going to be off and on rain, some days heavier than others. Today should be a day with some heavy rainfall and even some snow in the mountains, and then off and on all the way through at least Monday of next week. Now we're also looking at heavy snow at times. This is going to create a lot of problems on those mountain highways with chain requirements. Starting really mainly, I think that the biggest issues won't be until tonight and then tomorrow off and on all the way through this weekend. Also, yeah, now there's the potential, and I'm seeing it, and I have seen it, I just haven't mentioned it a whole lot, is the potential for maybe, at the very least, maybe a bit of a mix in the Redding area, Anderson, maybe as far south as Red Bluff, but that might be pushing it. And then gusty south winds, we're going to see that today. We're already seeing that in some areas here, and then off and on gusty winds as these storm systems push through. And then I also expect maybe some thunderstorms today and tomorrow, and maybe even parts of the weekend as well. So again, a lot to unpack there. Before we get into all of that, let's just get you through Krueger's Quickcast so you know what to expect here for today. Now, out the door this morning, pretty much everyone is going to be fairly wet. Now, I don't expect a ton of rain in the valley just yet at this point at 8 o'clock in the morning, or even in Modoc County, but I do think Trinity County, the coast, Siskiyou County, even parts of the eastern mountains will see some of that rain. And I think snow levels still fairly high starting this morning, probably somewhere between 4 and even probably closer to even 5,000 feet in some cases. So here's your overall setup. You've got the warm subtropical air that's moving in. That's the source of moisture. Colder air is going to really help to drop those snow levels, especially by tonight and tomorrow. Now, there is the best chances for thunderstorms will be west of the valley, but I do think the valley could see some thunderstorms today and then maybe even tomorrow as well. All right, so let's take you through today. I've got snow levels just kind of averaging even this morning between 3,500, 4,500 feet. Bear in mind that as we start the day, it's going to be closer to the higher level. And then as we get later in the day, it will start to drop slowly. It's not going to be a very drastic drop, at least for today. So 9 a.m., there's that main band of moisture really pushing through. Heavy rainfall, maybe thunderstorms for the coast. But notice the valley being shadowed a little bit here. We're not seeing a ton of rainfall at 9 o'clock this morning, and really even off to the north and east. But we are starting to see some of that snow, say above 4,000, 5,000 feet. Now we take you into around midday. Now that's pushing eastward, is starting to fill in for the valley. Rain not terribly heavy at this point, even for the valley. We'll call it showers, but heavier rainfall to the west. Now notice the snow, the blue on the map here, the darker blues. Yeah, there's areas of heavy snow, but fairly high elevations. Do bear in mind, though, that, say, above 4,500, 5,000 feet, some of those mountain passes in the eastern mountains may run into some issues with chain requirements even by midday and, of course, this afternoon very easily. Now, still, now we're getting closer to about 3,500, 4,000 feet at this point here. You see this right here? I talked about this and did a social media post on Facebook yesterday, indicating that there's a potential for a convergence line where the strong south winds create a line of heavy rainfall and thunderstorms, and sometimes it sticks around for a while. You see the potential for flash flooding. That's what this signature is kind of indicating a little bit, but I'm not seeing anything quite as prominent as I did see yesterday. So it looks like the forecast models are maybe backing off on that. But that all being said, I will be watching for that potential. And sometimes that line can be here, sometimes it can be a little bit more to the south. So we'll have to kind of watch this area here for today with those strong gusty winds here for the valley. In the meantime, you can see the heavier rain and snow on the coast and, of course, in the higher elevations. By tonight, notice we're seeing a lot more blue on the map. I've got snow levels now down to 2,000, 3,000 feet. So travel in the mountains by tonight, tomorrow morning, that's when you're going to run into some of the biggest issues, even on I-5 north of Redding near Mount Shasta. There you can see the watches and warnings that we do have here basically for today, tomorrow. I think a lot of these will be extended into Friday. Saturday, of course, this weekend too. Bottom line, there's snow in the forecast and for even some of the lower elevations. Taking a look at the Shasta Ski Park, no new snow in the last 24 hours, but that's going to be changing. Of course, the road conditions are fine now. They're wet, but I do expect later this afternoon and evening, maybe when you're heading back from the ski park, you may run into some issues, especially on Snowman Summit, I-5 near Mount Shasta, probably sometime later this evening and tonight when you start seeing snow accumulating on the highway there. But look at the amount of snow that we're expecting to see here out at the ski park through midday Friday. You're talking several feet of snow. What a great late season storm, at least for the ski park. But for those of you that need to travel, not such a great storm, right? There you can see 5 p.m. We're seeing most of the snow off to the east. Barely seeing a bit of a mix on I-5. And looks like, again, Snowman Summit, I think you could start to see some snow at this point. Highway 299 West, I think you're okay. You may start to see a bit of a mix on Highway 36 West. But by tonight, all bets are off. I do think Buckhorn Summit, Oregon Mountain, Highway 36 West, I-5, near Mount Shasta, Snowman Summit on Highway 89, east of I-5, plenty of chain requirements. So bottom line, travel in the mountains, you need to make sure you know the latest conditions, especially for tonight and tomorrow morning. All right, let's take a look at the wind alerts. We do have wind advisories until 2 o'clock today. This is through this afternoon, as well as the valley as well. So let's take a look at the winds here for today. And you can see that, 8 o'clock this morning, the strongest winds are on the coast and even for the valley, and very strong winds out towards central Siskiyou County. Now, we'll look at the winds really ramping up. Now we're talking over 30 miles per hour for the valley by midday. Still strong for the coast, but they're beginning to show signs of subsiding. By this afternoon, they're much weaker, but look at that. Now we're approaching that 50-mile-an-hour range for parts of the valley here, central Siskiyou County, and even the eastern mountains. This is the main cold front that's pushing through, and that's why we're seeing those gusty winds, because by this afternoon and evening, the winds are showing signs of subsiding, but then by tonight and tomorrow, yes, the winds will finally start to die down. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our forecast for today. Rain, thunderstorms are in the forecast, especially for the valley and west of the valley. Otherwise, we've got rain and rain-snow mix for many of the higher elevations. As mentioned, they're starting off around 4,000 to 5,000 feet, eventually down to 3,000 to 4,000 feet later on this evening, and even lower than that by tonight. Speaking of tonight, we're dropping down the upper 30s to about 40 in the valley. Teens and 20s. So again, as the colder air moves in, we're seeing lower snow levels, and I do expect to see more snow for some of those higher elevations and lower mountain communities later on tonight. Weaverville, Hayfork, I think mainly in the form of a mix tonight, but otherwise you're getting quite cold. And there you can see, of course, those temperatures upper 30s and some low 40s out along the coast. So it's going to get quite chilly for many areas. All right, looking at your 7-day outlook. I've included that mix for Redding. I think Red Bluff may be hard-pressed for that mix, but still that slight chance, and mainly in the form of rain for places like Chico. Off and on rain through Monday. We're drying out by Tuesday. Taking a look at the coast, inland, and for Trinity County, off and on chances for rain or snow, depending on your elevation, through Monday. And that's pretty much the case here for Mount Shasta, Alturas, and Susanville. Eventually seeing a break by next Tuesday. That break may last through Wednesday of next week, but I'm seeing signs in the long range beyond this that we've got more rain and snow in the forecast near the middle to latter part of next week. All right, that's a look at Krueger's Quickcast. Let's get into the deep dive. Let's really get into this here, all right? So here's what's going on. You can see the spin of low pressure here, another spin here. We've got another area of low pressure off to the west. This is what I call a parade of storms that's heading our way. So essentially, one storm after another is going to be moving through, and this is why we're going to see periods of heavy rainfall, gusty winds, thunderstorms, and low elevation snow. So why do we expect the snow elevations to drop? Well, you've got the colder air that's situated right here. You see the speckled clouds? That's the colder air that's going to be moving in behind this. So this is warm subtropical moisture that's moving over Northern California as we speak this morning. That's going to keep the snow levels fairly high this morning and through at least the first half of the day. Then what's going to happen is as this starts to shift eastward, we're going to see the colder air move in behind it. It's going to tap into that moisture, and we're going to see very heavy snow for some of the lower elevations. So a lot of the lower mountain communities that don't typically see a lot of snow are going to see snow, and probably in many cases, a lot of it. All right, so let's take a look at Futurecast, walk you through the timing of this. Again, remember I was talking about, going to kind of just broad brush it 3,500, 4,500 feet. This morning through midday, closer to that level than this level. Okay, that's essentially what we're looking at here. So by 9 o'clock this morning, heaviest rainfall to the west, not as much for the valley or off into Modoc County. Still seeing some snow in those higher elevations, but again, fairly high. Midday, now it's filling in for the valley. We'll call it light to moderate rainfall, but still nothing terribly heavy at this point. But as we go through the afternoon, now we're seeing the potential for some heavier rainfall. And as I mentioned earlier, we may see some convergence lines set up with a strong gusty south winds. We could see these lines develop here, and you'll see that a little bit more clearly as we go into 6 o'clock. You see that line right here? Sometimes that line is closer to Redding, sometimes even closer to Anderson, Cottonwood. So we'll have to watch this area through the afternoon for the potential for some flash flooding, because sometimes these lines set up and they stick around in one location for a long period of time, and that can create some flash flooding. In the meantime, you're noticing more blue on the map. This is when we've got to start thinking more about chain requirements, especially, say, near Mount Shasta and even west, Highway 299 and 36 West. I think there's that potential. There you can see Highway 36 West, actually plenty of snow there, right? But, I mean, it is just hugging Highway 299 here by 6 p.m. today. So, Buckhorn, Summit, Oregon Mountain, be on the lookout for that later on this afternoon and evening. And there you can see plenty of snow off to the east too. So here it is tonight. You see how it's kind of breaking up, but the colder air is now in place at this point. That could mean thunderstorms here for parts of the coast here later on tonight. And then you can see more snow as we go into those higher elevations here, but it's not widespread. It's scattered snow showers as we go midday on Thursday. There you can see the snow showers. Again, we're going to be looking at brief periods of moderate to heavy snow in some spots here, but this is going to be kind of spotty in nature, where it's often on snow for the higher elevations, but down between 2,000 and 3,000 feet. Then we can see some afternoon thunderstorms here and showers for the valley. So I don't expect a ton of rainfall on Thursday for the valley, but you could see a brief period of heavy rainfall as those storms move through. 6 p.m. Thursday, again, you can see it maybe still some afternoon showers. Snow flurries are starting to kind of taper off, and actually a bit of a break, a slight break here for Thursday night, before the next storm moves on in. Now this one's going to be cold. The colder air is in place at this point, right? So look at this. 6 a.m. on Friday, 1,000 to 2,000 feet. Snow for pretty much almost all of the mountain locations, at least down to 1,000 feet, maybe locally lower. Look at this. Redding, you see that mix? There's a potential for a mix and some snow out in the Redding area, maybe Anderson, city of Shasta Lake. But yes, we want to talk about nightmares as far as travel is concerned. We're probably going to see a closure of I-5 at this point by the time we get into Friday morning. All right, let's take you into midday on Friday. It kind of starts to lift a little bit here, but through the morning hours on Friday, there's that potential for a mix in Redding. And then as we go to the afternoon, it kind of tapers off to scattered showers and maybe even an isolated thunderstorm Friday afternoon, but still snow in those higher elevations, and it'll continue Friday night. And of course, more showers on Saturday. So here you have the severe outlook. Most of the thunderstorms, according to the Storm Prediction Center, look to be west of the valley, but we can't rule out a thunderstorm in the valley later this afternoon. But I think better chances of that instability is that colder, more unstable air will be in place for tomorrow afternoon. We get a lot of these convective thunderstorms that can develop. The amount of rainfall we expect through midday on Friday is upwards of an inch, I think, for many of us in the valley, especially to the north and east side. A little bit of shadowing out towards Red Bluff southward into Willows, but still some decent rain there, and much heavier rainfall out along the coast. We do have winter storm warnings, watches, and of course winter weather advisory out towards Modoc County. Bottom line, that's just saying, hey, listen, there's that snow that's going to be in the forecast. Now, I do expect this will be on the higher end for Mount Shasta through midday Friday. Keep in mind, we've also got Friday afternoon to contend with here. So you could be looking at close to, I would say, maybe 6 to 12 inches of snow, possibly around Mount Shasta City. Lakehead, that might be pushing it. These are the raw numbers. So let me kind of walk you through this. Weaverville, Hayfork, you know, here's the thing. It's not out of the question. We're seeing some of that heavier snow, and it may stick around for a while. So 4 to 8 inches of snow is not out of the question. Hoopa could see some snow. Willow Creek. Also to the east, look at Chester. I think you could see over a foot of snow once we get through the day on Friday. And of course, maybe a little less out towards Quincy and Portola. Bottom line is this. It doesn't matter what these numbers are showing. Heavy snow is going to be a problem. And that is going to create issues when it comes to travel, and there are most likely to be closures on, I would say, based on what I'm seeing at this point and based on my experience, count on the potential of I-5 possibly even closing, especially for Friday morning. But let's take a look at the road conditions forecast. You can see as we go into tonight into tomorrow morning, that's when we really start to see that snow begin to pile up, and that's when we start seeing some more issues for your Thursday morning. Longer range. Here it is Saturday. Just some scattered showers. I think if we see a break at all, it will be Saturday, but still some snow flurries, say above 2,500, 3,000 feet. And then Sunday, it's going to take a while, but I expect that by late Sunday afternoon, evening is when the next round of heavier rainfall moves in. And then looks like some scattered showers on Monday before we dry things out on Tuesday as high pressure begins to build in. So that's going to be our best chance for at least an all-day break. I'm watching the potential for this to move in sometime around next Wednesday or Thursday. We'll see. For now, I'm keeping Wednesday of next week dry, but that may change. So here's the long range. And I'm showing you what's called the American forecast model. It might be underplaying some of these numbers. I would say anywhere between 2 to maybe 3 inches of rain, especially the higher end of that for places like Redding and Chico here through Monday. Heaviest rainfall will be today, and I expect another round of some decent rain, maybe not as heavy though, but for Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. Heavier rainfall for the coast is what I'm expecting here, maybe 4, 5, 6 inches there. All right, take a look at the lake levels here. There you can see they're still looking pretty healthy out there. 80%, 83% out towards Trinity Lake and Lake Oroville looking pretty good too. So here's a look at your wind alerts. There's a wind advisory through Wednesday that does include, by the way, let me double check that. I'm going to take you back. I'm going to take you back a couple of maps here. I want to make sure that my information is accurate. And let me see here. What's today? That is from yesterday. This is 24 hours old, folks. That being said, some of these numbers aren't very drastic. So we may have seen a slight increase for Lake Shasta. We may have seen a slight drop for Trinity Lake and a slight increase for Lake Oroville. Bottom line, we're probably still looking pretty good percentage-wise here for the capacity as well as the historical average. But again, keep in mind, these numbers are from yesterday. I didn't get a chance to update those numbers this morning. Kind of a busy morning, right? All right, so here you go. There's that wind advisory for the Valley, Central Siskiyou County, and for Humboldt County as well, and even out towards eastern portions of Modoc County as well. Let's walk you through the timing of the winds. So the wind's very strong this morning for the coast. Eventually, as we get in the midday, they're getting even stronger for the valley. And we're talking over 40, 45, close to 50 miles per hour for parts of the valley by the middle of the afternoon. But notice the winds are starting to die down. Still gusty, though, this afternoon along the coast. By 6 p.m., the coast looking at weaker winds, still very strong for the valley. Eastward, by the way, central Siskiyou County. Shasta Valley, looking at some very gusty winds. High-profile vehicles will be the concern there. But by tonight, by tomorrow morning, those winds die down. They pick up a little bit, a little breezy for your Thursday afternoon, but nothing to be concerned about. And then maybe as the next storm system comes in on Friday, that will bring us some pretty gusty winds for the coast, and especially even parts of the valley and some of the mountains as well. So it looks like, yeah, more winds coming in later this week after a little bit of a break from all that. Let's talk about temperatures. That colder air has moved on in. We've got cooler than normal temperatures, really for as far as the eye can see. As you can see here, there's that big drop on Friday. That's why we're talking about the potential for some snow, at least a snow mix for Redding area, because we got some really cold air moving in, and then it starts to kind of climb back up, but still below normal. The normal high in Redding is 65. We will be at least 4 to 5 degrees below that, even as we go into next week as well. Now, looking at the wave heights for today, they're fairly high. They are dropping a little bit, but then as we go into your Thursday, still fairly high. So as a result, the National Weather Service has issued a gale warning through this morning, and then by the afternoon that should be allowed to expire. These winds will be dropping later this afternoon, and so will the waves as well. But the worst conditions will be this morning, with improving conditions through the afternoon. So here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. Temperatures in the mid to upper 40s for your daytime highs. We take you out to Eureka, 51, 49 for Blue Lake, 46 degrees in Alder Point. Rain, heavy at times, thunderstorms, gusty winds. That'll be the case today and even tomorrow. 49 degrees for Gasquet, 49 for Orleans, and Hoopa, about 49 degrees. I've got snow levels, 1,500 feet. I think places like Hoopa and even Willow Creek could potentially see some snow by around Friday. There you can see for Siskiyou County, Happy Camp about 47. We're going to start off with snow levels probably closer to 4,000 to 5,000 feet this morning, and then they will start to lower later on this afternoon, and especially for tonight and tomorrow. 46 for a high today in Fort Bidwell, 46 in Tule Lake, 47 for Alturas and Eagleville, about 47 degrees. Your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast, you've got 44 degrees in Fall River Mills, 42 degrees for Chester, and 45 degrees in Portola. All right, let's take a look at the Valley neighborhood forecast, and this is of course sponsored by Walgamuth Painting. Your temperatures are much cooler than they have been. You're going to notice it, but of course it's going to be wet too. You're looking at the potential for thunderstorms and gusty winds. Here's your 7-day forecast for Chico. Rain, possible thunderstorms today and of course tomorrow afternoon in particular. And then Friday, more rain, showers off and on for Saturday, Sunday, even for your St. Patrick's Day on Monday. Yes, the leprechaun will be dancing in the rain, or at least some scattered showers. Take you up to the north, 57 degrees for Redding, 58 degrees for Anderson, 57 out in Palisadro. And looking at your 7-day forecast for Redding, there it is, that mix on Friday. Yes, I'm going for it. I'm talking about it. We're going to go ahead and confirm that. Yes, we're talking about the potential for a mix in the valley on Friday, especially in the morning. Snow levels probably rising a little bit through the afternoon. Saturday and Sunday, showers, more showers on your St. Patrick's Day, drying out by next Tuesday. That's your morning update. I'll be back again this afternoon for the latest forecast. Have a great morning.
Barr & Mudford is a top established firm here in the North State. Founded over a half-century ago, Barr & Mudford is protecting the rights of our neighbors and community. We take our commitment to our clients very seriously and provide a level of excellence unrivaled in the North State. Barr & Mudford, standing up for the rights of our neighbors and our beautiful community, serving Northern California with excellence.